Hello, we are now in a completely new month, which means there's a new theme. And while I was tempted to go against the obvious for February, I decided to give in and do the obvious one, which is, of course, the month of love. Yeah, the reason I wanted to sort of maybe not do this was because I am not the most romantic person in the world. I'm not really lovey-dovey at all. I'm not lovey-dovey, mushy-wushy sort of thing. Just ask my boyfriend. But there are times when I can even get suckered in for the romance and the couples, and I can sort of feel good. Like, there are enough TV and movies where the couple gets together in the end, and I'm genuinely happy for it. So yeah, I thought there would be enough things that I could talk about for a whole month in the subject of love, which I thought it was worth doing it. And speaking of TV shows and movies, I thought that for today's video, it might be a bit obvious and a bit done by others, but I thought I would do my favourite TV couples, because I could actually find enough TV couples that I do actually like to make a list about them. Technically, this is 4 favourite couples and 1 which aren't an official couple, but to be honest, they might as well be. So you can sort of say this is my OTP if you want. But yeah, so basically 4 and 1. Anyway, so my first favourite couple is...
Nobody loves you like me.
Daphne and Niles from Frasier. Yeah, I really like Niles as a character. I think he grows quite well. And them as a couple seemed really weird when it actually did happen, because it took a long time for the two of them to actually get together. They did the whole he fancies her but she doesn't know for a long time. And then they also did the whole thing where she finds out but she doesn't say anything, and then she develops feelings, and yeah, we've seen it before. But I guess the fact that it took so long is it did sort of get frustrating, but they managed to throw some roadblocks in the way, like her actually getting engaged and all that. But when they actually did get together, you genuinely was like, yes, about time, good. And again, they were very awkward and very weird at first because you weren't used to seeing them together, because she was always very kind of formal, even though they had friendship episodes where they were friends. She was always very formal about him, calling him Dr. Crane rather than Niles. But when they did actually get together, it wasn't instant. It was all plain sailing. There was obstacles, as you'd expect. But they get over them, and they become a very cute couple in the end. And I was very happy because, again, I really like Niles, and I think with all the problems he'd had with some of his previous relationships, you wanted to see him happy. So yeah, that's one of my favourites.
Nobody loves you like me.
Monica and Chandler from Friends. I know a lot of people are more Ross and Rachel fans. I prefer Monica and Chandler because the Ross and Rachel one is a back and forth, will they, won't they story that goes on for 10 seasons. I liked them when they were together. When they did get together in the 2nd series and into the 3rd, I liked it. But then all the drama and then all the back and forth, and then it was like, oh, for crying out loud, just get together already. Kind of got a bit annoying for me. Whereas with Monica and Chandler, I liked the way their relationship went. I mean, it's very weird, actually, because I've been watching the earlier seasons. I've been starting from the beginning, and I'm on to the 3rd series now. And it's really odd, the idea that them two actually get together. Because even though they're good friends, I mean, they all are, you never really get too many hints that they would get together. Which is why it's really jarring when they sleep together for the first time. And I like the fact that their relationship did sort of start out that way. It didn't really start out a proper relationship. It was just the two of them were sexually attracted to each other. But then they'd sort of gradually... had more feelings, and suddenly, and of course they do it in secret, and then one by one everybody finds out, and then the relationship does sort of develop the way you'd expect. They have issues, conflicts and stuff, but then he proposes to her, they get married, and then they look to get kids and all that stuff. So it's a nice progression, but there's also enough obstacles in the way to make it interesting. So yeah, they're definitely one of my favourites.
Nobody loves you like me.
Steve and Miranda from Sex and the City. There's a lot of relationships you can pick in Sex and the City. There's the obvious one, which is Mr. Big and Carrie. And then there's Charlotte and the 2 guys she marries. But I chose Steve and Miranda because, again, I think it's the way they sort of ended up. They had a very Ross and Rachel almost thing where they sort of not will they, won't they necessarily. I suppose it does get like that bit later on, but like with Ross and Rachel, they end up having a child when they're not even together. But through that as well, they end up together in the end. And theirs is very back and forth as well. But I like the fact that even when they weren't together, they did try to have a friendship. And they did try to show that. And it's because of, I suppose, friendship or pity or whatever, or supportive, she actually ends up having sex with him and getting pregnant. But yeah, I thought they had a very nice beginning. I thought they made a very good couple because Miranda is a very tough character, but with Steve, she was quite vulnerable in many ways because he could also be quite a tough character as well at times to sort of offset that. So which caused some friction, but also, like I said, it was just lovely seeing them together. And I like the way that they actually get together properly before the series ends. And without spoiling anything, the way that end bit where they're all living together, there's a whole scene that shows how supportive, it shows love in a different way, that there are many different ways to love somebody. And I thought that was a really, really lovely way of showing it. There's just one scene with Miranda and her cleaner, actually, housekeeper, but gets me emotional. What they did in the film, yeah, well, I wasn't a fan of that. Kind of seemed pointless. But yeah, so overall, I definitely rate them as one of my favourite couples.
Nobody loves you like me.
Amy and Rory from Doctor Who. This is an odd one because I'm actually not a big fan of Amy, but then I think I'm not a big fan of Amy on her own. Because when it was just her and the Doctor, they were quite cool. They made a good team. But Amy could get a little bit much and a bit annoying, and I wasn't always a big fan of her. But when she was with Rory, you really could tell that she really did love him, despite the fact that she kind of fooled around a bit here and there and didn't always treat him the best. You could tell that overall she really did love him, and she would go to some pretty big extremes for him as well. And I just thought their relationship was really nice. It was nice to see a married couple actually be the TARDIS because they could be friends and they got on with the Doctor. So they were three friends, they were a good trio. And I like a good TARDIS team. We don't get TARDIS teams much anymore. Before that, all we got was in the new era, all we had was companions fancying the Doctor, and that kind of got a bit annoying. Whereas this, we actually had a proper TARDIS team and nobody fell in love with the Doctor. It was good. I liked it. And like I said, they were a cute couple, and I really liked Rory. I thought he was a really good character. I liked his development. And the two of them were just cute together. And their sort of, how they ended together was also quite sad, but also appropriate. So, yeah, I do like that.
Nobody loves you like me.
Starsky and Hutch. Yes, I know, they're not an official couple. But they might as well be. I do not slash. I don't do slash very much. I very rarely do any alternative. I don't have OTPs and stuff for the most part. I very, very rarely ever do slash. They're actually the only couple I do slash together. And because watching the show, I felt like I couldn't. They have such good chemistry together. They are very touchy-feely. They are obviously really good friends, but sometimes that friendship just seems like you just want to say, oh, kiss already. It's a kind of friendship you kind of in parts just sort of think, yeah, you're just one step beyond actually being a couple. And sometimes I think they've even made jokes about it in the show, I forget. I mean, technically they end up in bed together in the last episode, even though they're both fully dressed, but still. Yeah, it's the only slash pairing I have, but it took me a while to even get there. It took me a while of just watching the show thinking, no, there's nothing. And I suppose maybe it's more fan fiction I read that I started to think, you know what, actually, yeah, I can kind of see it. And yeah, even though we never actually got to see them in the show actually come out as a gay couple, I would have been happy to see that. So yeah, that's my unofficial favourite TV couple. So yeah. And I'd be interested to hear what other people's favourite couples are in TV. Like I said, I really did struggle to even find 5. I think that's why I had to include one of my OTPs, because I'm not usually a big fan of relationships in TV and movies. Oh, I don't know. But like I say, it's the month of love, and I thought it was a good thing to talk about. So there we go. Next week, I might have a bit of a surprise. It might be a little bit different, depends on how things work, but we'll see. But one way or another, I do still have enough of lovey-dovey things to talk about this month. So I hope everybody has a very lovely month.